I haven't exactly mastered it yet, but at least he's happy. Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma. Yes, I got an automaton for my birthday. Sorry. I also got this frog shirt from my mum. How amazing is that? Today, I'm going to be taking a quick look at a channel that YouTube has recommended to me a number of times, based on my interests. It's called Entrepreneurs in Cars, which on the face of it sounds like somebody with a passion for cars who is an entrepreneur. For some reason, most of the videos are about female nature. Now, I don't want to influence your opinion too much too early, but I have to be honest with you and tell you that the man who makes these videos, not always in a car. Sometimes he makes videos from a chair in his house. I know, it upset me too. In the manosphere spectrum, I would say that this channel leans towards the men going their own way, half of the incel to MGTOW spectrum. There are tons and tons of videos on loads of different things. One of the ones YouTube recommended to me that I was quite interested in was this video titled How to Test for High Quality Women. This intrigued me in several ways. A, because according to some other channels I've looked at, I do not pass the high quality woman test, and I'm intrigued to see if that is the same for this channel. I feel like probably not. I think my automaton skills might let me down. But it also interests me because when I've looked at a lot of these kind of forums and videos and things, one of the things that these men apparently don't like about women is that women test men. They have this idea that women put men through tests to see if they're good enough or whatever, and it's something that they complain about, which if somebody is testing you in a way like that, that would be upsetting, sure. But then there's videos like this where they're talking about how you should test women, and I'm not sure if it's hypocrisy or if it's some sort of reaction to, oh, well, I think women are testing us, so we have to test them. I'm not sure, but I'm interested to hear. This video is about 8 minutes long, but there is then a part 2, which really makes me laugh because it's titled How to Find High Quality Women Part 2, but the thumbnail text says 3 more ways to shit test her. I don't know why, it really makes me laugh. One more thing before we start. In my video talking about classically Abby and the whole they-them pronouns debacle, I think frustratingly I kept using the term non-binary pronouns instead of gender-neutral pronouns, which is annoying, and the irony of me misspeaking in a video about grammar is not lost on me. To err is human, to R is pirate. So without further ado, let us take a look at Entrepreneurs in Cars and find out what it means to be a high-quality woman and how you can check if you find one or are one, I suppose. Here we go.
All right, what is up, my brothers from another mother? I've had quite a few of these messages come to me about making really bad choices with women and dating and stuff from all age groups, and how do you test for that? And I'll give you some useful tests that you can use. Just finished up at the gym, got to get going for the day, got the beard all oiled up. By the way, if you guys have asked me what do you put in the beard, it's just coconut oil. That's it. Just virgin coconut oil right up your hand. You're done.
It is a fabulous beard. It is a fabulous beard.
And the door lock test was simply, back in the day we didn't have the key fobs. I don't even know where it is. I think it's in my gym bag. You'd have a key and you put it in the door, you unlock it, and your girlfriend would get in or your date would get in.
I'm confused. What's the test? The test is that you unlock the car door and then your girlfriend gets in the car. Is the test that you've unlocked the car correctly? I don't understand.
We don't have that anymore, so you can't use that test. But basically, you walk up to the door, unlock the door, let her in, you walk around the back, and you just kind of look in and see if she would reach over and unlock your door. And, the concept or the scene in that movie, it was kind of like an Italian gangster movie, was, if she doesn't reach over and open the door, then he goes, she's a selfish broad, you got to dump her, right?
Oh, I see. I understand. Right. So it's testing whether she unlocks your door for you. I see. Because back in the day, you wouldn't unlock both the doors at the same time. Okay, right, fair enough. So that's just sort of a silly test to see if somebody's gonna extend a politeness to you. I don't know, some people might not want to, touch something in your fancy car if you just, I don't know. Yeah, sure, whatever.
So that doesn't exist anymore. I did use that in my younger days when I did have to unlock the door, and it actually worked. It was fairly effective. So there's a few things that you can do now to kind of test chicks, test women, to help you guys.
Had to correct himself because otherwise you might be misled into thinking this is about herding chickens.
Identify the good ones from the bad ones because, guys are still making really bad choices. And, You know, I make bad choices so you don't have to. So let me share these 3 tips with you today.
So far, like his examples that have revolved around the car sort of thing, that could apply to any gender. And I'm like, it's kind of silly, and it's definitely like a situational sort of thing. It's a bit much to read into a person's whole personality via this test, but there's nothing, you know, if that's how this guy wants to live his life, that's totally fine. I'm not seeing anything gendered about this so far, basically, other than he's specifically using this to test for good women.
This is the coffee test, I guess we'll call it. You know, you're out with your date and you're going back to wherever you're going. Just pause for a moment and go, you know what, I'd love to grab a coffee from Timmy's or Starbucks or wherever you live in the world. You know, here in Canada, Tim Hortons is probably
Tim Hortons! Tim Hortons for the Canadians. Sorry, carry on, I got overexcited.
Popular one. Forgot my wallet at home. Can you spot me on this one? And see what she does. A good woman would be happy to do that. I mean, obviously, if you've been dating, you've probably thrown some bucks at her here and there, you know, going out for a movie or dinner or something like that. So for her to, you know, brush off the dust on her purse and open it up and crack open $1.50 shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Again, not necessarily anything gendered about that. It's also situational. If I was on a date and my date had forgotten their wallet, of course I would spend, you know, $1.50 to get them. Of course I would buy them a coffee. I think, again, there's nothing gendered about that. You could use that on anyone. I think I do think there's an element of suspicion. There's something that is very like, again, he explains that he's been hurt before, you know, and that's where this advice comes from. It screams a little bit of somebody who is very paranoid, but if you have had really bad relationships in the past, then I guess I probably wouldn't hold that against you. Again, there's nothing really gender specific in here until he sort of busts out the stereotype of like they brush the dust off their wallet. I'm assuming his point is that women hardly ever pay for anything. Again, that's a gender stereotype from our society. But maybe his point is that everybody pays for things via their phone nowadays, and that's nobody's using their wallet. Maybe that's it. Who knows?
She fails that test, you want a deep sixer, just get rid of her. She's really just in it for herself. I have a really good...
If I was out with anyone, I was like, I'm really sorry, I've forgotten my wallet. Do you still want to get a coffee? And they were like, ooh, no. Then I probably would think that person was pretty stingy and I might not go out with them again. Don't see it as gendered, but it almost makes sense as a test. I think it's weird to test people, but if that's what you're going to do, I kind of understand where it's coming from.
A good friend that actually tested his ex-wife with that. She failed miserably. He still married her, and he still swears to the day if he would have, ditched her at that time, it would have been a lot easier for him. The second test is simply the no. Guys are dumb. Like, we just try to please or say yes all the time. We'll go watch the dumb romantic comedy or go to the art gallery if we're not interested in art. You know, I'm a car guy.
Women and their romantic comedies and their art galleries.
You guys know that's, you know, those of you that have watched my channel for a while, that I started up Entrepreneurs in Cars because I like hanging out with entrepreneurs in cars. And, you know, those are the sorts of events and things that I like to, you know, place myself in. I like to be in that room, to go to the Cars and Coffees in the summertime. So if a woman were to say to me, you know, I would like to go to this art gallery, it'd just be like, no, I'm just not interested. I have no interest in art or whatever. And if she responds angrily or tries to shame you, tries to use shaming tactics, you know, you can take a look at the Triggered video that I did a couple weeks ago so you can get a better idea of the shaming tactics.
Again, I don't know what these shaming tactics are because I've not watched that video, and I'm not going to watch all his videos because I'll lose my mind. I'm still not seeing anything gendered. Like, I think he's right in that you should be honest about what you're interested in. I also think you should have an open mind to try and, you know, engage with your partner's interests. You don't have to like all the same things. You can be like, that's really not my sort of vibe, I'm sorry, we could do this instead. And yeah, your partner probably shouldn't respond angrily. But at the same time, it's nice to check out the things they enjoy because you might discover something that you are interested in. I find it very hard to believe, maybe this is just a personal thing, but I find it hard to believe that someone wouldn't be interested in any art galleries. Like, all galleries have such a wide range of art, and there's modern art is so different to classical art. There's just like it I don't think I could ever be anyone with who I don't think I could be with anyone who would just like veto all art, you know. But like, not being into the film genre they've suggested or whatever, yeah, say sorry, that's not my sort of thing, and she can go with her friends. That's fine. But like, I would be just as comfortable saying that to a man. Do you see what I mean? There's nothing gendered here. There's no reason that you couldn't use this tactic with this tactic. There's no reason you couldn't use this with men. There's no reason you couldn't say the same thing to your male friends. You know, this guy loves cars. He likes car shows. I have a lot of female friends that love car shows, especially classic car shows. Yeah, find somebody with similar interests. I'm not getting the high quality women. I guess he's saying that low quality women would be angry if you're not doing what they want, which I'm kind of on board with. I feel like so far I actually test positive for high quality women by this guy's standards, because I would definitely cover you if you had lost your wallet. I would be fine with, like, somebody saying, I'm really sorry, that's not my kind of thing. I feel like we're on the same page so far. He's just making it weirdly gendered, and I feel like that's unnecessary. And also I feel like his idea that you have to test your partner, or you have to test somebody before you become involved, I find that to be slightly paranoid. Otherwise, we're on the same page. I just don't know why he's only applying this to women.
You know, if you're a real man, you would go with me or some shit like that. You want a deep six.
That is a, I don't know what deep six, shall I Google that? Because I don't know what that means. Oops, I've typed in deep sizz. Destroy or dispose of something irretrievably. Okay. Oh, deep six is in 6 feet under? As in like burying somebody? Okay. That's my guess for where that comes from. That makes sense. But no, I agree. If somebody says, if you were a real man, you would, then yeah, fucking chuck 'em, because that's a horrible thing to say, and it relies on gender stereotypes based on our patriarchal society, which I disagree with. And it seems like Entrepreneurs in Cars agrees with me. Loving it.
You just want to get rid of her. She's going to be a royal pain in the ass. She's going to try to shame you or convince you to do things that you're not interested in. And to be honest with you guys, you know, we live in a world of, you know, balance, and, you know, feminism's come along and they want equality. Well, you know, if she wants to go watch some, you know, romantic comedy or go to an art gallery, let her do it by herself or with her girlfriends or with her mom or something like that. If it's not something of interest to you, just say no. And don't be a dick about it. Just, you know, just let them know it's just not something that's of interest to me. You know, there's other things I could be doing with my time.
Yeah.
Another really good example that I could use from my own experience. I was asked to attend a dinner party with some people that I had met before that I knew that were just, how can I put it? You know, you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if you spend time in rooms with people that are shitty and are going to lower your average and negative and really drain you like energy vampires, it's just a bad choice. It's a bad decision.
Energy vampires. I wonder if he's a fan of what we do in the shadows. I think Entrepreneurs in Cars might be my new best friend.
Decision. And I said no to it. And she freaked out. She lost her mind. She was really upset. You know, you shouldn't judge people and all this sort of stuff. And she started using shaming tactics. Well, I should have known at that point, because there's a lot of red flags with that woman that I was dating. But, you know, things like that you can use to test them. So it's basically the no test.
I've heard about women talking about effectively the same thing, like doing no tests with men, like saying no to a man to see if he's, you know, it tends to be from a woman's perspective, it tends to be to see if he's safe to be around. And when I've seen men respond to it, they've always been like furious. I don't know. I'm getting a different vibe.
You can use is basically the Prenup Test. And this will basically demonstrate to you in a very clear and concise fashion if this woman is into you for you or if she's into you because of hypergamy. Now, all women are...
Hypergamy. It's my favourite word. For those of you who are new to the manosphere, I will fetch a definition of hypergamy for you. The action of marrying or forming a sexual relationship with a person of a superior sociological or educational background. Or financial, a lot of people argue. Certainly the incel forums believe that all women are hypergamous. They use this term monkey branching, where women will go from relationship to relationship if a man of higher social standing comes along that she could be with, which is obviously not true. Or there wouldn't be any women in happy relationships with, you know, normal men. Normal men and women in relationships exist, and I always get confused because they're just like, they're, you know, we're all right here. That's interesting, because so far we've been totally on the same wavelength with pretty much everything he's said so far. Except that I feel like obviously it's unnecessarily gendered, but he's just thrown in this is because of hypergamy. So I'm like interested to see where this is going. I'm going to rewind a little bit just so we can get the full context of this.
And the third and last test that you can use is basically the Prenup Test. And this will basically demonstrate to you in a very clear and concise fashion if this woman is into you for you or if she's into you because of hypergamy. Now, all women are hypergamous. I got to get going.
Oh, he does think all women are hypergamous. He's also going to film a video while he's driving his car, which is the first thing in this video, funnily enough, that I massively disagree with. Certainly in the UK, you get pulled over and given a ticket for this. Maybe it's different in Canada. I really don't like it. It makes me nervous. I feel like I'm about to like witness a disaster on screen. Obviously he's fine because, you know, he's made a lot of videos since then. It's funny that the first thing that we disagree on is him driving while recording. So all women are hypergamous. Carry on.
I hope you guys can still hear me. All women are reasonably hypergamous, and they're going to look to benefit their scenario or to spend time with somebody that's going to up their average, you know?
I don't know what that means, what up their average means, but I look to spend time with people who are enjoyable to spend time with. I don't know about you. Ladies in the comments, let me know. Are you looking to up your social average? Or do you hang out with people who you enjoy hanging out with because they're nice and fun? We saw this actually in the young guy, the super young guy's video on when we watched the young pickup artist video, and he was saying how men and women can't be friends. He used the same reasoning because women are always interested in gaining something, in leveling up their social status, or getting something, you know, getting some kind of benefit with financial or being driven around. There were loads of things. The comments on that video are full of examples of men and women saying, I'm friends with men or women and we're just friends because we vibe, like we hang out and have fun. Like there's definitely not always these weird ulterior motives. Again, it sounds very paranoid to me. Like, to be honest, I think a lot of the manosphere is like a couple of guys who have had really bad experiences in relationships and have been like, most women must be terrible and I need to like really protect myself. That's the vibe I get, and that's certainly the vibe I get from entrepreneurs in cars. Like he's been hurt in the past and now he's like really protecting himself, which is okay. It's one way of dealing with things. Whether it's then right to teach that to an audience and say, here, all of your experiences will be like this, and we know that these videos really prey on vulnerable young men who have not had many experiences in dating. That's a question in itself. I don't think it's a very good idea to spread that stuff around. It's interesting he's saying all women are like that, but somehow there is a test for it, so not all women can be like that. I mean, we know they're not because just look at them, you know? Like, there are so many women who are the breadwinner? So many women are the breadwinner for their family, you know? I think most modern women, definitely in my experience, don't have this idea of I need to have a certain social standing because it's not the Victorian era, you know? It's not like, oh, well, we have to marry a factory owner to keep up the family name. It's like, I don't think people really care about that stuff anymore. There's always going to be outliers. Obviously, I don't think that all women want X, Y, and Z to some degree, so we're going to have to disagree for a second time, unfortunately.
It's funny because they don't want us to say no to dinner events, spending time with people that are going to lower your average or drain you. But, you know, they're always looking to marry up economically. And
no, they're not always looking to marry up economically. Again, there's like so many relationships who disprove that. I'm sure on this video, there will be people saying, hello, I disprove that. And yep, me too.
Make sure they find somebody that's in a better boat than they are. So the way that you bring this one up, you're not going to say, hey, you know, I need you to sign a prenup if we're ever going to settle down, or a cohabitation agreement if we're ever going to live together. Just bring it up in casual conversation. You know, a friend of mine was having a conversation, you know, with their partner, and they brought up the idea of a prenup. You know, you can mention it was a guy or a girl, whatever, you know, combination of that you want to use. You know, they brought up the idea of a prenup, and they had that conversation, and, you know, just kind of like throw it off to her. You know, what are your thoughts on that?
Again, don't see why it's gendered. If that's something that matters to you, if you like do significantly, say, out earn or something like that compared to your partner, and that's something that is important to you, then you could throw that question out there. You could ask that question whatever gender your partner is. He's saying it's because all women want to marry up, and yet men are always complaining that women aren't interested in marrying men anymore. I get so many mixed messages in the manosphere. But so the prenup argument, I guess, is that's another test for high quality women. I feel like most of his tests are just finding out if your partner is more self-interested than what you want. And again, it seems like this is based on his own experiences. It does still read as quite paranoid to me, but fine. I guess I'm still like passing all of his tests. I don't see why you couldn't do these on any gender. It's
Again, you know, I actually had this conversation with a woman that I was dating for about 6 or 7 months, and when I had actually, I didn't mention it, she brought it up. She said that one of her friends was
Oh, she was testing him.
presented with the idea of a cohabitation agreement because she was pushing to live in. You know, she was down here, he was up here, he was fairly well off, and she wanted to move into his life. And you know, I said, well, that's pretty much par for the course at this stage. You know, if you're divorced, because I was divorced at the time, and you've got a child, you want to make sure that your wealth transfers to your child and, you know, isn't distributed places like, you know, other people's children that aren't yours if things don't work out. And she got very upset, exceptionally upset. So that was a bad sign. Dumb me. I was sticking with the wrong head. I kept dating, but yeah, you know, I could have probably saved myself a lot of time. So there's a few good examples of, I guess, how you can shit test women, because women are always shit testing men. You know.
There it is. That's what I said earlier. I wonder if it's, oh, women are always doing this, so we have to do it back to them, which like creates this vicious circle of, you know, because if he was wrong, but then there's women out there that think like he does, and so they're like, well, men keep shit testing me, so we better shit test men. Then you're perpetuating this cycle. There's no element of like be the better person here. It just screams of somebody who's had bad experiences and is paranoid about relationships as a result, which is perfectly natural and human. But to be like, and therefore all women and all men should be like this to protect themselves from women, and I
it'll help you filter out the crap ones from the better ones, or the ones that are just there for your money or for your resources and aren't particularly interested in you, or they want to make you do dumb shit or try to shame you. So I hope that helps.
I do. Sometimes I want to make my boyfriend do dumb shit. Sometimes that is a thing that I want to do. But that's because I find doing dumb shit funny. But then so does my boyfriend, so I guess that works out. Okay, I'm just gonna take a quick look then at his follow-up video, part 2. Let's find out some more of Entrepreneurs in Cars shit tests for women and see if we qualify as high quality women.
You can issue to women to determine their long-term worthiness. At the time of this recording, this is a follow-up now to my most popular video, which has about 1.3 million views. One of the things that I noticed from that video is that women are A-okay with testing you. It's okay when they test you for suitability, but they don't like it when you test them. So if you go watch...
Isn't that exactly what I said the other way around? According to Entrepreneurs in Cars, it's fine and men should test women, but he's got videos about how women testing men is bad. That's exactly what he said, exactly the same thing as me, but the other way around. We are like totally in sync. Me and Entrepreneurs in Cars, I'm telling you. I'm going to start cocoa buttering my beard and we're going to become best friends. It's going to be amazing.
Watch that video. I'll put a card up at the top right. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The comment section of that video is a gold mine of resources if you view it with a red pill lens. So let's hop straight into this follow-up right now. The first test that I'm going to give you is quite simply one of my favorites, and it's called the Zombie Apocalypse Test. We've all probably by now seen TV shows like The Walking Dead, and you know, over the last 5 or 10 years, there's been like a rebirth of all these like zombie type of movies out there. And quite simply, all you do is you basically say to your chick, you know, what do you do when the shit hits the fan? Whether it's the aliens invade and it's like a War of the Worlds type of situation, or it's a zombie apocalypse, you're going to ask her what her contingency plan is. And here's what you're looking for. You want a chick that values you, your masculinity, your place in the world, and the fact that you can provide provision and protect. If her response is, well, I'm going to go over to my sister's house and help her take care of the nieces and nephews, or I'm going to go to the family, whatever, she doesn't really value you as a dude, okay? You want a chick that when the zombie apocalypse comes has got you back and is reloading your magazines and passing them to you as you're firing off your gun.
I kind of, in a silly way, I kind of love his like, this is what your answer should be. Because, like, in a jokey sort of, you know, memey way, I love zombie movies, I love zombie comics. I get another reason why the universe wants us to be friends. But I love the idea that, like, your partner should be the one reloading your magazine and you're, like, back to back fighting off the zombies. But I think if you ask your partner, like, in a disaster situation, what would you do? And they say, probably want to make sure my family's okay. I don't think that's a reason to discount them completely. To me, it would be like, oh, they care about their family. And I don't know if I see that as a negative. That doesn't mean that, like, I don't trust my partner. It would just be like, I want to see my family. I don't know. I mean, mine is like, my zombie apocalypse, like, response would be entirely based on where I live, because, like, my partner is the nearest person to me. I would go to my partner because my family isn't nearby. But if my family was closer, I might go and check on them first. Also because I trust my partner to be more ready for the zombie apocalypse than my mum. Basically. Basically, I think this is very situational, sort of silly, fun question that you could maybe kind of draw some exchange of personal values out of, but you definitely shouldn't use this to test whether you should stay with your partner. A, it's a unreasonable hypothetical, and B, it's totally situational. Like what somebody would do in an imaginary scenario does not mean that they don't care about you in real life. We were actually talking on Twitch a little while ago about like what the best place to be in a zombie apocalypse, or like where you would hole up and what the best thing to do would be. And I think we kind of agreed that B&Q is where you want to be. You want to go to your local like garden centre that's got all the chainsaws and, you know, really high places. And so that's completely unrelated to how you feel about your loved ones. It's just like straight logicking how you're going to survive. I don't know what entrepreneurs in cars would think about that. I love it as one of the first, and his favourite one is the what would you do in the zombie apocalypse. I kind of love that.
I'm a guy that enjoys, conservative values, so of course I have a gun safe with 3 rifles in it. So I'd want to check.
Of course. Again, this is definitely subjective because like it's not that easy in the UK to get a gun license and own firearms, like multiple firearms. It's definitely not that simple. It's not something everyone does, and our values socially in regards to owning weapons is very, very different. So that's definitely situational.
At my back, reloading the magazines, passing.
And again, like if you're dating this guy, your answer is going to be partly driven by the fact that you know that he's got a safe full of weapons, right? So is that she loves you and wants to have your back, or is that he's got the most weapons, he'll be a good person to hide behind? Like, doesn't that kind of negate your test in certain ways?
To me, as I'm emptying them out and passing them back. That's what you want. That is a solid chick on a long-term basis. She values you and she's got you back. Okay, and test number 2 is more of like an observation sort of test. It's to observe the bitchiness level. The last thing that you want to do is get into a long-term relationship with any chick, whether you're living with them or not, that is going to be bitchy to you.
Same with men. Once again, I don't see how this is gendered. You don't want to be with anyone who is bitchy to you. Before you say that bitchiness is a female quality, oh my god, I've met some bitchy men.
My friend Sean Smith, who wrote the Tactical Guide to Women, he's also my co-host on the Before the
Tactical Guide to Women? That sounds like something I need to read.
Trainwreck show on Monday nights, by the way. If you're not watching those, you should. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, little subscription break there. He noticed during his clinical practice that women have the capacity over the course of about 16, 18 months to act quite well. Meaning you may not get exactly what it is that you're expecting to get, meaning you might get into the representative zone, you might wife them up too early on or live with them too early on, and then that representative leaves and you see who the real person is. So
I wouldn't describe it in the way that he does. I wouldn't use the language that he's using, but I think for, again, anyone of any gender, again, just totally not gendered, I must have said that about 6 times by now, moving in with marrying somebody too early when you're not at the stage where you're completely natural around each other yet. You're still sort of slightly, because you do perform a little bit at the start of a relationship because naturally you want the other person to like you. So yeah, I think moving too fast, doing things too quickly can be detrimental to long-term relationships.
To properly vet, I believe you want to look for signs of bitchy behavior. See how she behaves to the waitstaff, to the busboy, to the valet when he parks your car.
I've never been in a situation where somebody else would be parking my car. But again, I completely agree. And this is one thing where, as like, again, the notion of testing, I probably wouldn't talk about it like this, but 100% I do think you should absolutely keep an eye on the way the person you're dating talks to service staff. 100%. Male, female, anybody else, doesn't matter. If the person you're dating is rude to people in customer service jobs, fuck them. What did he say? Six foot them? Six down? I've forgotten it. There's a brilliant turn of phrase. I've completely forgotten it. Deep six them. deep six 'em. If you want to call it bitchiness, then that's fine. I think it totally applies to any gender. If you're going out with anyone and they are rude to waitstaff, absolutely chuck 'em.
To the receptionist at the medical center, whatever it is, watch how she behaves to other people, because she might be kind or pretending to be kind and nice to you, but that might be an act. There might be an underlying bitch beneath all of that she's suppressing, just try to be on her best behavior to hook you in. So just be aware of that. And also kind of tying into number 2, you want to give yourself a good 2 years before you make any kind of long-term commitment to a chick to really, view that behavior. You've got to collect data points, okay? You just can't rely on 3 months of dating and then wipe.
Again, completely agree. I don't think you should date for 3 months and then get married. Totally think I wouldn't put a specific number on it. I don't know if it has to be 2 years. It depends if you knew each other first. I don't know. It's all situational. Once again, I gotta say, the idea of collecting data points and, making dating like sort of statistical and putting hard limits on the amount of time, it just is very, I have been hurt and I am afraid of being hurt again. That's like 100% what I hear.
Wife them up. I know a lot of dudes that have done that. Part of my coaching practice, I've noticed most guys that end up in bad marriages, especially with bitchy women, they often wife them up within about 3 to 6 months. You want to avoid that at all costs and give yourself...
Totally agree. But again, applies to any gender.
A good couple of years. So that's tip number 2. It's the bitchiness test. All right, and test number 3 is going to be you're going to ask her to do something small for you. If you're watching my channel, you know that I encourage you to chase excellence and not women. You're a man of vision and purpose. That's what women admire. And
I am a man of vision and purpose, thank you.
That's what they love. So, of course, you've got things to do during your day. I imagine she's got a life of her own, has her own 2 feet to stand on because you're a smart guy and you've vetted properly. So you're going to be able to put yourself in a scenario where you're going to ask her to take on some task for you. Don't make it huge. Don't make it monumental, but just something simple and see how she responds. Maybe something as simple as, hey, do me a favor. Here's the receipt for my dry cleaning. Can you do me a favor and grab this tomorrow? It's got to get picked up. I'm swamped. Make it a small and simple test. Issue it at least a couple times to see what the response is so you can collect some data points on that baseline behavior. Again, guys, these tests are just simple tests to help you try to vet or to basically separate the wheat from the chaff. You want to make sure...
There's no need to gender that. Like, if you are feeling a certain level of vulnerability, that I think this guy definitely is, and you really want to know that somebody is willing to, do little things for you, sure. Again, you could do that whether you're a man dating a woman, a man dating a man, it doesn't matter. You could do that with anyone. I think that the general points that he makes are completely fine when talking about just relationships in general, and I think all of his kind of gendered commentary seems to come from fear and past hurt. It's kind of sad. He could almost be onto a really good thing as a relationship coach, but unfortunately, so much of his dialogue and the way he expresses these things is rooted in sexist ideas that sexist men end up being his audience, and they all sort of feed off each other in this kind of cycle. Because really, when you get down to what he believes about dating in general, his advice is totally fine. He's just got this really negative view of women in relationships based on his past experiences, which is something that happens, and it's something that happens the other way around, But it's kind of a shame, because I think maybe if this guy hadn't had those experiences and he could apply this kind of logic to just relationships overall, rather than gender it and say, well, all women are like this, therefore, then he could be onto something that's totally fine.
Sure that if you're going to get into a longer term engagement with a chick, you're doing it with one of the better ones and not anybody that's got problems, daddy issues, money issues, needs Captain Save-A-Ho, all those sorts of things. I've talked about stuff like that in the past. I'll put some cards up on the...
It took a long minute for Captain Save-A-Ho to sink in. I don't know what that means. I think I'm happy in not knowing.
Top right, you should definitely check out those videos. Also, fellas, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up.
Okay, the rest is promo. There we go. That's Entrepreneurs in Cars. And that's his tips for finding a high-quality woman. This might be the first time I've watched this kind of manosphere video, and I've sort of ticked all the boxes. Like, I haven't disagreed with any of his tests. I certainly disagree with the language he uses to describe women and the fact that he generalizes all women. I think by his standards, I think I might be a high quality woman. I wonder if he heard me say that, if he would come up with some more some more examples of tests that would kind of eliminate me. So there we go, that's Entrepreneurs in Cars. We've got some sexist language, we've got some sexist assumptions and ideas, a lot of the red pill language, but in general, a bit more lighthearted. I genuinely don't think this guy is hurting people as much as a lot of his kind of compatriots in this male dating advice, pickup artistry sort of sphere. Let me know what you think. Are you a high quality woman? Are you a low bitrate man? Or are you, like me, actually 700 Bs in a human suit? Do you like this video? If you enjoyed it, share it if you think your friends might get a chuckle out of it. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video. I would like to give a huge thank out to my giant chickens over on Patreon. Amber, Black Noisy Blue, the Blue Mini Pixel, ChicFilADeathFries, Connla, Chicken Maximus Lyons, Goddammit Connla, and Taxman. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon, on YouTube, everywhere. You're magical. Have a very lovely week, and I will see you soon.